I would like to note that I have given approval for Channel 31 to live stream this meeting. A recording of the meeting will be published on Council's website. Please stand for the acknowledgement of country. On behalf of Brimbank City Council, I respectfully acknowledge and recognise the Wurundjeri and Bunurong peoples as the traditional custodians of this land and pay respect to elders past, present and future. I ask the councillors to remain standing for the council commitment. Others may be seated. As the council, we will act in the best interests of the Brimbank community and consider the immediate and long-term impacts of our decisions. We will make these decisions fairly and without bias. We will uphold all of our obligations under the laws of Victoria and Council's local laws and will act in accordance with our code of conduct. Councillors, please be seated. Moving on to apologies and leaves of absence, I note that there are no apologies for this evening. And may I please ask if there are any declarations of conflicts of interest?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have a conflict at 16.1 and 16.2.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to declare any conflicts of interest? If not, we will proceed. And now, also want to see if there's any declarations of intended candidacy. As we all note, the 2022 Victorian State election is scheduled to be held on the 26th of November in 2022. And in accordance with Section 6.2.1 of the Conduct During Election Period policy, which forms part of Brimbank's governance rules, a councillor who is a prospective candidate should declare their intended candidacy at a meeting of the council as soon as practicable after notifying the Chief Executive Officer. And please note that these declarations are not motions and the governance rules do not permit debate. So councillors, are there any declarations of intended candidacy? None, thank you. There are 7 items to be designated as confidential. May I please have a move of a motion to note these items as confidential? Councillor Borg?
I'll move the motion that these items are confidential as per business paper.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. A seconder, please. Madam Deputy Mayor.
I second it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak to that?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
And Councillor Dang?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would any councillors like to speak to that? If not, I put it to the vote. All right, all those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. Thank you. And may I please have a mover of a motion to confirm the minutes of the previous council meeting? Councillor Rasic?
I'll move the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Papalia?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Rasic, would you like to speak on that?
No, thank you.
And Councillor Papalia?
No thanks.
Any councillors? All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. Thank you. On the agenda, there's one item of condolences for this evening. And this is to note the passing of Mr. John Jennison and extend condolences to his family. Is there a move of this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the motion of condolence. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Is there a seconder, please? Councillor Kerr.
I'll second the motion as per the business papers.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak on this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. John Jennison was a resident of Keilor for over 45 years and an outstanding Brimbank citizen. He died on the 25th of September this year, aged 79 years after an illness of some months. John was a community-minded, devoted to Keilor Historical Society and its projects, a passionate supporter of historic buildings and our community's heritage. Born at Echuca during World War II, John studied mechanical engineering at RMIT, where he met up with his wife, Susan. He had a distinguished career as a mechanical engineer, including working at the Olympic Tyres and production manager at the Age newspaper, where he oversaw the transition from letterpress to offset printing. The job meant long hours and sometimes night calls. He later worked for the New Zealand Herald in Auckland and returned to Australia to work as a consultant. John was very involved in local affairs. He was president of the Keilor Ratepayers Association, treasurer of Keilor Historical Society, an active member of the Lions Club and a loyal supporter of Friends of the Black Powder Mill. He was very proud and much loved husband, father and grandfather. He leaves a son and a daughter and 2 grandchildren. A large gathering met at Overnewton Castle on the 28th of September to celebrate his life. Unassuming and affable, he was a valued member of the Brimbank community. We mourn his passing and extend our sympathy to his wife, Susan, and their family. From myself, I'm still in shock and bereft of words. Both Susan and John have been tremendous contributors to Keilor and preservers and custodians of much of the rich local heritage of Keilor. It's hard to fathom Keilor without him and his wonderful disposition. Nothing was too difficult for him, and he was the first one at every event, especially Anzac Day, unpacking the poppies, the flags, the books. He shunned the limelight. He got things done. He was not a big believer in red tape. He rolled up his sleeves and was always the last to leave with Susan. My sincere condolences to Susan, his children and grandchildren. I believe that we should find a way to memorialise John Jennison's incredible contribution. We are the richer for his efforts, and it's a heavy loss for our community. And I just want to read out one last paragraph from Susan Jennison. Some words on behalf of his beloved Susan. John was a person who believed strongly that you had to contribute to your community in order to improve it, and to make it feel that it was a special place where people felt this was their home. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. And Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak on the motion as seconder?
Yes, please. John Jennison was Keilor. John would often be seen in the village with a huge smile on his face and always up for a chat. Keilor just won't be the same without him. Every year, John and his loving wife Susan meticulously arranged the Keilor Village Anzac Day event. The Jennisons also worked tirelessly as members of the Keilor Historic Society, and only last year showcased the amazing work at the historic Harricks Cottage. John Jennison was a true community champion, a proud, active, hard-working and influential member of the Liberal Party. I will never forget his amazing words of encouragement, his warm smile and infectious laugh. I'm going to miss seeing him at Sweet Lulu's and at our lovely coffee and chats. My condolences to Susan and the family. John was a true gentleman, a family man, and may his memory live on forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Would any other councillors like to speak on this motion of condolences?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor David?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd too like to say a few words about John Jennison. I happen to know them or knew them for the last 30 years, more than 30 years. We differ in politics, but Susan ran a couple of times for federal elections. John is the one that was right behind the works, if you like, all these years. And most of us are councillors that been for the last, say, 20 years. We knew that John and Susan, they are prime movers for Keilor, the Keilor village. Anything you wanted to know, you're Susan and John. And we talk about good leaders in a community, and those two, they're really leaders. I respected them because anything you wanted to know, you go through the Jennisons. And to me, it's bad loss for Susan and the family. And I think for all of us, it's we pass our condolences to the family as well. Yeah, very badly miss. Good people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor David. And over councillors, Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Certainly I'd like to endorse the comments that have been made by people so far. John Jennison, from my position as Chair of the Heritage Committee, I certainly welcomed his input into that area, and particularly on Anzac Day I can recall often having discussions with him every time I'd turn up, and the work he did with that group. So look, it's a very sad loss to the community, to their family and friends, and to all of us. So I don't want to say too much, but just to say thank you for your contribution to Keilor and the wider community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. If there are no further comments, I would like to put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And I understand, Councillor Borg, you would like to move another motion of condolences?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I would like to move that Council notes the passing of Uncle Jack Charles and that extend condolences to his family.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Is there a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
I second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The Brimbank Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Consultative Committee, together with Council and the Brimbank community, wishes to acknowledge the sad passing of Uncle Jack Charles. Uncle Jack Charles was a proud Boon Warang, Dijia Warang, Wo Warang, and Taugaran man. He was a highly respected elder, actor, musician, potter, and gifted performance. Born in 1943, Uncle Jack was a stolen generation survivor. In April this year, he made history as the first Indigenous elder to speak at the Victorian Truth-Telling Commission. Uncle Jack co-founded the first Aboriginal theatre company, Nindatana, in 1972. In 2009, he was awarded the prestigious Tudawali Award, honoring his lifetime contribution to Indigenous media. Uncle Jack was the recipient of a Green Room Lifetime Achievement Award 2014, was named Victorian Senior Australian of the Year 2016, won the Ochre Award in 2019, and most recently was awarded NAIDOC Male Elder of the Year 2022. His memoir, Jack Charles, Born Again Blackfella, was published in 2020, co-written with Namilla Benson. In June 2021, Uncle Jack Charles was invited to speak at the opening night event at the Bowery Theatre in St. Albans. Uncle Jack's tremendous legacy, generous spirit, advocacy, humor, and creativity will never be forgotten. It is a gift to all of us. On behalf of the Brimbank Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Consultative Committee, Brimbank Council, and the Brimbank community, we pass on our condolences to Uncle Jack Charles, family, friends, and community.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. And Councillor Papali, would you like to speak?
Thank you. I would just like to send our condolences to Uncle Jack Charles and his family. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other councillors like to speak on this motion of condolences? I'd like to put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And then for congratulations, I understand that Councillor Tarkas, you would like to move a congratulations motion.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to move a congratulation motion in regards to the flood event that has occurred and the impact it's had. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Papalia?
Yes, I'll second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Tarkas, would you like to speak?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Councillors, Madam Mayor and Madam CEO, the last few days have seen the impacts of severe floods across regional and metropolitan Victoria. I witnessed with my own eyes an inland sea forming at Keilor North, where both Jackson's and Deeps Creeks meet, and the Maribyrnong begins its journey, roughly 2 kilometres wide, heading straight to Keilor. I then drove to Arundel Road, fearing the worst, and saw what was left of the heritage Arundel Trestle Bridge, an iconic and much-loved part of Keilor heritage, only partially salvaged and protected, would you believe, by a tree submerged in the river. We need to preserve that tree. So much devastation to our cities, particularly Maribyrnong and surrounds Moonee Valley, and anyone close to the swollen creeks and rivers. In Keilor, several homes have been inundated within minutes. I visited some of the residents on the weekend and the Keilor farmers yesterday. I listened to their trauma and experience, complete shock at how quickly the water level rose. I'd like to just thank and congratulate the cleansing team, road services crew, emergency management team for helping these residents on the weekend with the long task that they have ahead of cleaning up the mud, the silt, and throwing so much of their valuables and precious memories out, and recovery from what was a very traumatic event for so many. They have people that have lived in the area for many years said they have never seen so much water since the 70s. My thoughts go out to all those experiencing the impacts of these floods, and as a council, I'm proud that we can offer some support in recovery efforts. Thank you, Neil White, especially to Neil Whiteside and his team. And I'd just like to reiterate on record that there is financial assistance available through the flood recovery hotline. I urge anyone experiencing impacts to call 1800 560 760. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. And Councillor Parley, would you like to speak on that?
Thank you. Just to thank Mr. Neil Whiteside and team for the assistance in helping with the cleanup. I know Councillor Tarkos covered most of what's happened in our community, devastating as it is, but thank you to all involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other councillors like to speak in this motion? I'd like to put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Blatchford, I understand we have received some questions from the members of the public.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have received 9 questions this evening. The first question is from Jennifer Westhoff, and she states, are councillors required to make a declaration if they are choosing to provide support or campaign on behalf of a political party?
The Local Government Act for 2020 and the Local Government Governance and Integrity Regulations for 2020 require councillors to disclose certain matters in biannual personal interest returns, including details of certain roles held by councillors in corporations, unincorporated corporations, that are associations, and business partnerships and joint ventures. Further, in accordance with the conduct during election period policy, a councillor who is a prospective candidate in a state or federal election should declare their intended candidacy at a meeting of the council as soon as practicable after notifying the Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Second question from Jennifer Westhoff is, have any of the current councillors made declarations that they are providing support or campaigning on behalf of a political party?
A summary of personal interest returns lodged by councillors is available on council's website. Declarations of intended candidacy are recorded in council meeting minutes, which are also available on council's website.
The third question this evening is from Daniel Allen. My question is in relation to developers builders in Brimbank applying for variations to our planning scheme by promising to include affordable housing. In the past, when they promoted their development to council as supporting affordable housing, they often request variations that allow them to build with greater density, less parking, or other restrictions that would typically apply. I was listening to Michelle Adair, CEO of Housing Trust, and she said the following: if they, in brackets builders, are serious about affordable housing, they should be partnering with community housing providers and making that stock available to meet the government's income eligibility and conditional requirements. Will the council consider requiring the builder to meet the above conditions to ensure their affordability targets are achieved?
There are currently no specific requirements within the Brimbank planning scheme for a developer to deliver affordable housing as part of a development. And on the rare occasion when a developer has offered to provide a component of social or affordable housing in the development, Council has sought to secure this using a Section 173 agreement. In May 2022, Council adopted the Social and Affordable Housing Statement, which outlines a number of roles that Council plays in relation to social and affordable housing. And it outlines possible pathways to encourage and support increased supply of social and affordable housing in Brimbank. It is hoped that implementation of these pathways will increase provision of social and affordable housing in Brimbank, as well as to provide further guidance to developers.
Our fourth question this evening is from Penny Rabarts. I would like council assistance in having a fallen willow tree over Stony Creek removed at the Matthews Hill site at the end of Tom O'Brien's reserve. This willow tree is creating a collection point for an ongoing rubbish issue flowing through from the water source collecting in waterways through Central Sunshine. Please assist in working with Melbourne Water to remove this fallen tree and the captured rubbish.
Yes, so Council has been providing previous reports as well as from community members, and I have been advised that Melbourne Water are aware of the willow tree and litter concerns. Melbourne Water are currently in discussions with Maribyrnong City Council on a staged removal of the willow trees and replacing them with native trees.
Fifth question this evening is from Penny Rabarts. Our second question is to request information on obtaining funds for trees and native flora to plant at Stony Creek sites in Brimbank. What is required? A request for funds or a request for plants? Please outline requirements so I can take action on this on behalf of Friends of Stony Creek.
Thank you. There are a number of avenues that Friends of Stony Creek can obtain support and funding for tree planting and revegetation projects. Brimbank's Conservation's Community Liaison Officer will contact you to provide details, guidance, and also some advice regarding this.
Our next question is from Despina Havelas. When is Brimbank City Council be proposing to improve the lighting and access from the Brimbank Wellness and Aquatic Centre through the Packard Street Park through to Packard Street for all local residents to access the new centre, as there has been suspicious activity and drug activity spotted in the area by a few residents lately. At night, the safety is questionable.
Council officers have advised that a path connecting the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre through the Packard Street Reserve to Packard Street is planned. However, implementation has been delayed due to the ongoing rain, making the area too wet to excavate. And the path connection will proceed once conditions are favourable, and the path will include lighting.
Our next question is a second question from Despina Havelas. With the isolation of pandemic, when will Council looking at more variety in their programs, including better cooking classes locally, including programs like digital art, bread making, etc., and that are not just focused on school-age kids and just on school holidays?
The Neighbourhood House program is available on Council's website, and in Term 4, Delahey Community Centre is offering 2 no-charge What's Cooking sessions, and Westvale Community Centre is offering a no-charge Christmas cooking session. So those are some examples. And Neighbourhood House staff welcome hearing community feedback on programs, so we encourage you to reach out to your nearest Neighbourhood House.
Our next question this evening is from Gary Egan. Could Council provide an update with respect to the Sydenham Park development? Is the Cultural Heritage Management Plan completed and approved? And if not, will this delay the commencement of the path construction contractor works at the park?
Thank you. The Cultural Heritage Management Plan for Sydenham Park requires further amendments and is being resubmitted to the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung Cultural Heritage Aboriginal Corporation this week, seeking approval as soon as possible. The approval of the Cultural Heritage Management Plan is not anticipated to delay the commencement of the path construction works, with work scheduled to begin in January 2023.
Our final question this evening is from Gary Egan. Has the selection of the successful tenderer for the path construction contractor works at Sydenham Park been finalised, and when are the works expected to commence?
At the council meeting on the 20th of September in 2022, council appointed a contractor to construct the Sydenham Park Shared Use Trail Stage 1 works. Works are scheduled to begin in January 2023, subject to approvals. And I believe that was the last question. Thank you. Now we'll move on to petitions, of which there is one petition to be received. And this is a petition with 119 signatories in relation to capital improvements with the River Valley Estate. May I please have a mover of a motion to receive the petition? Councillor Liu.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the River Valley Estate Capital Improvement petition as per business paper.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor David. Yep. And Councillor Liu, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This petition just to follow up on the motions on relation to the pedestrians bridge across the river, and also with the growing population in our estate up north Sunshine, with the growing population required connectivities in the area, which we got relation to the bus stop towards area and in nearby facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. And Councillor David, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak on this motion to receive a petition? If not, we'll put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries and the petition is received. And there are one set of minutes of a delegated committee. And this is a Lead West Joint Delegated Committee. May I please have a mover of a motion for council to note the minutes of the Lead West Joint Delegated Committee meeting?
I move the motion as per business papers. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. Is there a seconder? Madam Deputy Mayor?
I second it, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Takos, would you like to speak on that motion?
I'd just like to congratulate the Lead West Committee for their current advocacy that's come out and representing our council in the forefront, which is fantastic to see. So a lot of the questions that we did have, they've taken on board and they've come out really strongly with advocacy, which is really great to see before the election. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. And Councillor Dang, as seconder, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I just echo Councillor Takos, and I congratulate Lead West on the advocacy for the West. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dang. And any other councillors like to speak on this motion? I'll move the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And the minutes are noted. Now, there are 15 officer reports for consideration by council tonight. And therefore, in the interest of conducting all the business on tonight's agenda, I won't be granting extensions of speaking time. If you have any alternate or omitted motions, please ensure you draft these motions and provide them to the governance team by email so they can be shared on screen and form part of the meeting. Otherwise, we may have to defer the matter until the motion's been written, allowing the meeting to proceed uninterrupted. And with that, we'll now move on to our first officer report. 13.1 Planning Activity Update and Delegate Decisions and Planning Scheme Amendments Update for September 2022. And I would like to invite Director Mr. Calvin Walsh to speak on this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide Council with information on the status of planning permit applications and trends in planning approvals in Brimbank, decisions made under delegated authority during September 2022, and the status of current planning scheme amendments as of the 30th of September of this year. Officers recommend that Council notes the report and the attachments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Are there any questions for Mr. Walsh, councillors? If there are no questions, is there a mover of a motion, please? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation in the report.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Borg.
I'll second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Appreciated. And Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. It is pleasing to note that the cost of development, as referred to in the report, has doubled from the previous month, indicating a strong rebound in the local Brimbank construction industry. It is also interesting to note that the 3 VCAT hearings were also successfully decided in Brimbank's favour, so well done to our planners. In addition, the environmental audit overlay for Energy Park is now part of our planning scheme. The previous administrators had 8 years to get this done, but didn't. Brimbank councillors achieved this with a great environmental result, so well done to the Brimbank councillors. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. And Councillor Borg?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Lancashire covered it very well. Thank you.
I'll just move this one straight to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And next report, 13.2, Planning Compliance Activity Update from the 1st of July to the 30th of September 2022. Mr Walsh, can you please present this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide Council with information on the planning compliance activity for the period 1st of July to the 30th of September of this year, and officers recommend that Council notes the activity report, including the attachments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Walsh. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Lancashire, what's your question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question about the total active requests shown on page 55. The box is empty there. I was just a bit confused as to why that was 0 or not showing anything.
Madam Mayor, I'll take that on notice.
Thank you. Any other questions
No,
over
thank
that? Thank you. Well, we'll move it. So, is there a mover? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation in the report.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. Is there a seconder? Councillor Papalia. Okay. And Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak on this?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And
No,
Councillor
thank you,
Papalia?
Madam Mayor.
I'll leave it straight to the vote again. There's nobody who wants to speak? Okay. All those are in favour. I'm assuming that's in favour? Yes. Okay. We're on a roll, I suppose. Okay. Now, 13.3. This report is on the Sunshine Town Centre Marketing and Business Development Special Rate Scheme. Mr Walsh, can you please present this report?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider commencing the statutory process to declare a Sunshine Town Centre Marketing and Business Development Special Rate for a defined area within the Sunshine Town Centre. Officers recommend that Council notes the letter received from the Business Association requesting the introduction of the special rate for Sunshine. Notes the special rate will be for the purpose of providing funds to the Sunshine Business Association for the purposes of appointment of a professional marketing coordinator, promotional, advertising, marketing, business development and other incidental expenses to encourage the development of commerce in the centre. And also that Council undertakes a range of actions detailed in the recommendation to progress the special rate, including the appointment of a councillor as chair and 2 other councillors for the hearing of submissions committee, if required, scheduled for the 8th of December. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Walsh. Any questions, councillors? Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Liu.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move it as per business paper and under point H that Council appoint Chamber Councillor Nguyen as the chair and appoint Councillor David and Councillor Liu to be the hearing of submission committee to hear any person wishing to hear under Section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. Is there a seconder? Councillor David? Second. Thank you. Councillor Liu, would you like to speak on this motion?
Yes, just briefly, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say congratulations to all the officers who've worked tremendously with the SBA, listen to these recommendations to ensure that there is adequate, sufficient assistance in promoting and marketing our local businesses in Sunshine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. And Councillor David, as seconder, would you like to speak?
Just very briefly, Madam Mayor. I think this is a straightforward report, and the Business Association here in Sunshine, they're looking for more money, if you like, to try and put into the festivals that we have from time to time. They've been working very hard over there. It's a good unit. They've been working very, very well. So I think we have to support this so we can get them to do better for the Heart of Sunshine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor David. Would any other councillors like to speak on this motion? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Sunshine Town Centre Marketing and Business Development Special Rate is very important for the future success of this significant business precinct. While large retail corporations such as Water Gardens are able to provide a holistic marketing campaign for their businesses, areas such as Sunshine and St Albans, with lots of small businesses, cannot do this without this type of scheme. Raising an amount of over $180,000 per annum over the next 5 years will help significantly in consolidating the business success of Sunshine, and as such is strongly supported. It is also noted in the responses to a survey that the special rate has contributed to the Sunshine Centre, improved perceptions of the centre, improved presentation, brand and reputation, and traffic, foot traffic and customers. A significant majority of those surveyed through the special rate was important to the ongoing success of the centre. So it is strongly supported. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. And any other councillors? I'll now put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And we'll proceed on to 13.4, the officer report on Amendment C 225 BRIM, planning scheme review and update. Mr Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to note the planning panel report for the Brimbank Planning Scheme Amendment C225 BRIM, which is the Planning Policy Framework translation, and also to consider adopting the amendment with changes and submitting it to the Minister for Planning for approval. Therefore, officers recommend that Council notes the planning panel report at Attachment 1, notes and endorses the Council officer consideration of the recommendations made by the panel at Attachment 2, endorses changes to the amendment and adopts the modified amendment, which is detailed at Attachment 4, and then submits the modified amendment to the Minister for Planning for approval, and finally to write to submitters advising them of Council's decision. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Walsh. Any questions? Is there a mover? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would move the officer's recommendation in the report.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rashid.
I'll second that, thank you.
Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I would. As a town planner, I certainly must speak to this one. The significance of it is quite important to Council. The Victorian Government has made substantial changes to the structure of planning in Victoria. This has required the introduction of a new municipal planning strategy and a planning policy framework. As noted in the report, this is the first comprehensive overhaul of planning schemes since the year 2000, and at that time I was actually working as a town planner. This massive body of work has been on exhibition through a panel process and is now before Council for final adoption. While Council officers support some of the recommendations in the panel report, they do recommend option B, which includes some changes. Some of these changes recommended in the updating of the definition of the Sunshine Metropolitan Activity Centre to include 2 railway stations. With the recent proposed investment of $80 million in the Albion station, this would seem an obvious change. Also, the change included strengthening the heritage provisions within the scheme, which is strongly supported. Particularly as Chair of the Heritage Committee, I've looked at these and the other things and strongly support them. Well done to all the staff who have worked on this massive document, and we see the number of pages involved in it. improving our planning scheme and updating our scheme. So thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. And Councillor Ashish has seconded. Would you like to speak?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Would any of the councillors like to speak on this? Councillor Takos.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd just quickly like to reiterate what Councillor Lancashire said. This is an incredible piece of work. Like the detail in it is phenomenal, and I think especially the heritage, the importance of acknowledging Keilor and Albion and later Sunshine settlements for the 1850s, the architect-designed suburb of St Albans in the 1880s, the development of Sunshine as one of the first garden suburbs by the leading industrialist H.V. Mackay. These are some of the unique features that is captured in this document. But I guess from my point of view as well, clause 4.7, character and quality of St Albans and res code issues is a big one, because one thing that I get a lot of inquiries about is like the reduction of visual bulk with developments, stronger planning provisions to control overlooking, overshadowing, noise impacts, building heights, limits to growth zones, and overlooking plot ratios are all issues that are constantly hammered to me throughout development, as we develop and our population intensifies. So this document is extremely key, and I congratulate Calvin and his team for all the detail in it. Thank you.
Thank you. And over councillors? I'll put the motion to vote then. All of those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And then we're moving on to the proposal to rename section of Ashton Avenue in St Albans. Can I please invite Mr Shane Ma to speak on this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider the outcome of a voting poll and a proposal to rename a section of Ashton Avenue, St Albans, between Main Road East and Clark Avenue. Council have been advised that there have been instances where emergency and delivery services have experienced difficulty in locating properties in this section of road. At the Council meeting on the 17th of May 2022, Council endorsed the proposal to rename this section of road and to conduct a poll to determine the new name. As a result of the poll, it is recommended that the section of road be renamed Tong Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? No questions. Is there a mover? Is there a question?
No, sorry, move.
Okay. So, Councillor Douglas, would you like to move the motion?
I move the motion as per business papers. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor David. Okay, Councillor Takos, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, Madam Mayor, this has come through Council before, and I believe the name change is to mitigate confusion and is an operational, and really is for operational safety issues. And by renaming the street, it will assist in accessing properties for mail, as well as, if needed, emergency vehicle access and other emergencies where clarity on residential address is essential. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor David?
Yes, I echo those words spoken by Councillor Takos. This little street has been confused for a long, long time, not just now. A lot of people used to lose themselves in a way. So it's only a small short street between Main Road East and Clark Avenue. So I think it's the right thing to do to change it to satisfy the neighbourhood there. And I think it's well done, yeah.
Thank you. Any other councillor can speak on this? Put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. Governance report for October 2022. Can I please invite Ms Georgie Hill to present this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The governance report is a standing report within Council's meeting agenda. It is predominantly a summary of key operational and governance activity written in compliance with the Local Government Act 1989 and 2020. In this month's report, Council is recommended to make certain delegations, approve the Council meeting dates for 2023 and sign the pledge as a partner to the Target Zero project. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Hill. Is there any questions? There are none. Is there a mover? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation in the report.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The Brimbank Innovation Portfolio, which I share with Councillor Rassick, covers custodianship, innovations, assets, financial sustainability and governance. The monthly governance report adheres to best practice and good governance principles. It complies with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020. It provides assurance and transparency to the community. This month's report also incorporates matters including an amendment to the Section 5 Instrument of Delegation of the Chief Executive Officer and a pledge of support letter for Target Zero. Target Zero is a collective impact model developed by West Justice and CMY. It is an ambitious 10-year program that aims to drive towards zero the number of children and youth in Brimbank, Melton and Wyndham involved in the justice system, especially those from Indigenous and culturally diverse backgrounds and those who live in residential care. The partnership will develop and identify targeted programs co-designed with the community that will empower young people and their families to break the cycle of arrests, charges, convictions and incarcerations that can permanently taint the lives of young people. Target Zero has more than a dozen signatories who have already signed on as partners. Brimbank Council is the first of a number of councils to be asked to join. I commend this monthly governance report to Council. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. And Councillor Papalia, as seconder, would you like to speak?
Thank you.
Any councillors? I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And in introducing the next report, which is the annual report for 2021 to 2022, as the Mayor, I would like to say some words. I'd like to say that Brimbank's annual report for 2021 to 2022 meets the state government's performance reporting framework, and the annual report has been submitted to the Minister for Local Government last week. I am very proud of the work that Council has done over the last year to realise the vision of a transformed Brimbank that is beautiful, thriving, healthy and connected. Council has worked to boost community health and well-being, improve parks, roads and sporting facilities and address the climate emergency, as well as support businesses through initiatives that promote economic recovery from COVID-19. Over the 2021 to 2022 financial year, Council invested a significant $82.23 million to deliver new facilities and upgrade existing ones, as well as to upgrade Brimbank roads, parks and open spaces. This delivered facilities and spaces our community can enjoy using and they meet their needs. Despite the ongoing impact of COVID-19, we progressed the construction of the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre, ensuring the project was on track for the completion later in 2022. Council's ongoing advocacy to the state and federal governments, as well with other local partners, to advance our future priorities for Brimbank helped secure tens of millions of dollars of investment for our community. And during these times, Council has also continued ongoing COVID-19 service delivery built into our Together We Are Brimbank Council plan, and this ensured that we continue to support our community through recovery from the pandemic. And some examples I'm particularly proud of is the delivery of the Brimbank Youth Grant to support young people throughout the pandemic, as well as our report into looking into the mental health provision services that are available in Brimbank and what's Council's role in this space. So these are just some of the main highlights of the work that was done last year. I encourage the community members to download our annual report from Council's website for further details. Before commending this report to Council for endorsement, I would like to thank my fellow councillors and also to the organisation, the staff for working so hard to transform Brimbank for the better. And I would now like to ask Ms Hill to talk to this report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Local Government Act 2020 requires councils to prepare an annual report each financial year, including a report of operations, audited financial statement and performance statement. The officer recommendation is that council adopt the annual report for 21-22 as attached, and note that a copy is available on our website. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Hill. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Takos.
I move the motion as per business papers, Madam Mayor.
And the seconder? Madam Deputy Mayor.
I second the motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Takos, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. The annual report is a compendium of the fantastic work that our council does across the community, spanning all ages, targeting vulnerabilities and building on strengths. Delivering capital works in an increasingly challenging economic and supply chain environment is a strong commitment of this council. But we need state and federal partnerships to get through a 10-year pipeline of capital works that this municipality needs. We build projects that change people's lives. A municipality that is growing in population to increase by 19% in 2051 to 240,000 people. Our strategic position cannot be underestimated to transform the West. We have 170 different cultural nationalities, a rich Indigenous history. Diversity is our identity. We need jobs to support growth. We need sustainable towns, green spaces and preventative health, education and social services. The challenges facing us are increases in landfill levies by 61% in 21-22. Labour and material cost increases. Although we are in a sound financial position, lots of revenue is being created by Brimbank through gambling and landfill levies that we lose. We need more support from state and federal government to meet our capital works program pipeline and growth. This is where advocacy plays a huge and important role, and even so in an election year that we are facing right now, we must do everything we can in our power to get some wins for Brimbank. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on this report?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to congratulate Council had worked well together and had provided great benefit to the community in 2021 and 2022. And I would like to read out a few key highlights. Like, Council had delivering a strong 82 million capital works program. The new Brimbank Aquatic and Wellbeing Centre, developing and commencing implementation of mental well-being, advocating successfully to help secure tens of millions of dollars in state and federal investment in Brimbank community. Creating the Operation Response team to respond to support the community with food relief and support the community, and adopting the Together We Are Brimbank plan that incorporate with the community vision in 2040. So once again, I congratulations to all the executive team and councillor who had worked well together. I commend this report to the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dang. Would any councillor like to speak on this annual report? Councillor Borg.
Just to mention, Madam Mayor, that this is quite a comprehensive report, which includes a report of operations and My fellow councillors have covered the highlights of this report, and you too, Madam Mayor, very well. I just want to say that it does make me feel very, very proud to be a Brimbank councillor when you consider the challenges that we are facing, and yet to deliver so much during these last 12 months. But as Councillor Takos mentioned, I do call upon the state government and the federal government, for that matter, to support us in more ways than one, because our challenges are big and we cannot do it on our own. So it would be great to have such support, especially during this state election year. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. And any other council want to speak on this? I'll put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That carries. Now, the proposed Aboriginal Community Centre. Ms. Lily Dumble, can you please present this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report recommends to Council to consider developing a Memorandum of Understanding and auspicing the Kooinda Community Group to support a pilot of a culturally safe and welcoming space and programs for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people at Romsey Villa in North Sunshine. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dumble. Any questions, councillors? Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Borg?
I'll move the motion as per business papers.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rasic?
I second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak on this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's great to see this report coming to Council for endorsement. When I first became a member of the Brimbank Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders Committee 6 years ago and found out that the First Nation people do not have a community centre in Brimbank, I became very determined to help them advocate to get such a place. I couldn't fathom out the fact that the traditional owners of this land do not have a community place of their own in our municipality. A safe centre where they can feel at home in more ways than one, and from where they can deliver programs and services for their community and beyond. We are very blessed to have such a vibrant First Nation community led by Uncle Graham and Auntie Joyce, who have so much to offer, not only to their own community, but also to the broader community. The journey over these last 6 years has been very tough. Lots of robust discussions have been held, among other things. Great to see that Council is proposing this Aboriginal Community Centre at Romsey Villa, even though this is only on a temporary basis as a pilot project. I visited this place with community leaders, including Uncle Boots and Auntie Joyce. They feel very excited about it and can't wait to start having community gatherings and running programs at this venue. I call upon my fellow councillors to support this report.
Thank you. Councillor Rasic, would you like to speak on this motion?
Just briefly, Councillor Borg summed it up pretty well. As part of Batsik community, I'm really pleased and happy that this is happening. This should have been done many years ago, but it's never too late. And I am so happy, as Councillor Borg said, and can't wait to, join them at the centre and celebrate something there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rasic. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on this motion? I'll put the motion to vote then. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And we'll now move on to the Taylors Lakes Lion Club Community Garden proposal. Mr. Neil Whiteside, can you please present this report?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider supporting the formalisation of a Memorandum of Understanding agreement between Council and the Taylors Lakes Lions Club for the establishment of a community garden at Pamela Drive Reserve in Taylors Lakes. The Memorandum of Understanding Agreement would set out the necessary requirements and responsibilities for establishing a community garden within that part of Pamelia Drive Reserve, Taylors Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteside. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Lancashire, what's your question?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move an alternate motion for this report.
Okay, noted. Any questions, councillors? No? Okay. So, do I have a move of a motion, please?
Yes, if we could have the... Thank you, Madam Mayor. If we could have the amended motion. The Council supports the establishment of a community garden at Pamelia Drive Reserve by the Taylors Lakes Lions Club, subject to the formalisation of a Memorandum of Understanding Agreement between Council and the Taylors Lakes Lions Club. Supports the establishment of a Memorandum of Understanding Agreement between Council and the Taylors Lakes Lions Club, detailing the necessary requirements and responsibilities, including provision of a full-height black plastic-coated see-through fence and gate be incorporated into the Memorandum of Understanding Agreement as requested by the Taylors Lakes Lions Club for establishing a community garden at Pamelia Drive Reserve, Taylors Lakes, and writes to the Taylors Lakes Lions Club advising of Council's resolution in relation to the proposed community garden at Pamelia Drive Reserve, Taylors Lakes. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rasic.
I second that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. We are very fortunate in this council to have groups such as the Taylors Lakes Lions Club, who do amazing work for our community. This latest Lions Club project to establish a community garden proposal at Pamelia Drive Reserve is a fantastic idea and strongly supported. The Victorian State Government is providing a grant of $34,000 to help establish this great project through the Our Suburbs Living Local Fund. As detailed in the report, many community groups and individuals will benefit from this project, with the ongoing management and maintenance being provided by the Lions Club. The suggested variation in the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, for the establishment of this amazing facility is to provide a high 2-metre black plastic coated see-through fence and gate as requested by the club. The purpose of this fence is to protect the gardens from theft and damage. I congratulate the Lions Club on this great initiative and recommend the adoption of the proposed recommendation to my fellow councillors. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. And Councillor Rasic, would you like to speak as seconder?
Again, I think Councillor Lancashire summed it up pretty good. Just one thing, it's community gardens, so I think we should listen to community and what they want to see there. I'm strongly supporting this motion, and we should have more groups like this, like Lions Club. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rasic. Is there another speaker? Councillor Borg.
I would like to endorse what has already been said. Having a community garden at Pamelia Drive Reserve is an excellent idea. As already mentioned, such project would benefit the community a lot. I would like to congratulate the Taylors Lions Club for undertaking this project. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank them also for their arduous work to support our community throughout the years and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Is there another speaker? I'd like to put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And next we have the draft Elfrida Street Master Plan. Mr. Whiteside, can you please present this report?
Certainly, thank you, Madam Mayor. The draft Elfrida Street Master Plan provides a vision for the future development of Elfrida Street, St Albans. Preliminary community engagement was undertaken last year to gather information on current issues and opportunities in Elfrida Street to inform the development of the draft Master Plan. The draft Master Plan includes the whole street from Main Road East to Taylors Road and has been divided into 3 distinct sections: the Civic Walk in the south, the Nature Walk in the centre and the Neighbourhood Walk in the north. To ensure broad community support for the substantial change proposed by the draft master plan, it's recommended that the community be presented with two options for the Civic Walk section, seeking feedback through the 4-week community engagement process. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider endorsing the draft Alfreda Street Master Plan for community consultation for a period of 4 weeks and invite written submissions, and then to receive a further report on the outcomes of the consultation and a final draft master plan for consideration for adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteside. Any questions, councillors? No questions. Is there a mover of the motion? Councillor Papalia.
Thank you. I'd like to move the motion.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Tarkos.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Papalia.
Thank you. I would just like to firstly thank and congratulate council officers working on this project. This is a game changer for St Albans. I don't know if anyone's read the vision here, but it's a green spine connecting major community destinations while promoting active lifestyle and connection to nature. You know, something that we've spoken about in St Albans is the heat island effect, and the green space provided in this master plan will certainly address that. Some of the things that stood out to me on here was the widened streets to allow for trading to take place on those streets, as well as events. We already see the vibrant community in St Albans celebrating things like Lunar New Year, and this is just going to really accelerate those celebrations. Safety is a big one, and wellness, as well as the tree canopy is a big one for me. So thanks everyone that was involved.
Councillor Tarkos, as seconder, would you like to speak?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. Just to echo what Councillor Papalia said, there is no doubt that Alfreda Street is one of the most iconic streets in St Albans, but it has faced many ongoing challenges over the years: illegal double parking, exposed shopping strips, concrete jungle, illegal dumping in the back alleys, footpaths that are not user-friendly, cramped, and it doesn't take much to create congestion on those footpaths. This inhibits visitor experience, but it does have a vibe, and we need to keep that vibe, because one thing that we cannot afford to lose is that it becomes another just, too clinical look. It needs to contain that vibrancy, as Councillor Papalia said. The community engagement will be really important on this. They need to understand that they'll get a lot of wins out of this, and that is a wider footpath, which is safer, greener, cityscape, shaded, and spaces for sitting, walking, cycling. So there's a lot more walkability and cycling access. And of course, car parking, which is a very taboo subject in St Albans, as we all know. People agree we need car parks, but we don't want this street to continue to look like a car park. We want it to look like an inviting, exciting vibe with a lot of greenery that still retains its unique vibe of the edgy public realm that it has. The two options provide that, and I look forward to receiving the community feedback. It's important that we get this right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Councillor Liu, I see would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very briefly, I endorse both Councillor Park, Councillor Tark. I'd like to listen to the importance of this Alfreda Street Master Plan and the consultation of the community. And I do encourage all councillors, especially those in those wards, to attend those out there on the street and make sure the community understand what they're getting and what they're not getting, and encourage the council to encourage the community to get engaged relating to this. Is actually what we decide here is going to happen, and it's going to be in for the community's future. So I encourage the council actually to get out on the street and get involved, listen to the community consultation with the community, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. Would any of the councillors, like Councillor Lancashire?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would certainly like to endorse the comments that have been made so far by all the speakers. It is fantastic to see the development of a master plan for Alfreda Street. Providing two options for consideration and comment by the community and traders is respectful and will provide Council with important feedback on the appropriateness of each option. The two options are quite different, and I encourage all interested groups and individuals to check out each proposal and have your say. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire and Councillor Borg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would also like to endorse what already has been said. I've been familiar with Alfreda Street for these last 50 years, and seeing this plan coming to Council is very, very exciting. It's something very much to look forward to. As already mentioned, there are this report includes two civic walk options. The difference of the options is the positioning of the public realm. Option 1 has the public realm to the west, as for option 2 it has the majority of the public realm to the east. Important to note that option 2 requires the removal of the 16 healthy mature trees. It also requires a net loss of 18 car parks. I am very much looking forward to the community's feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Any other councillors like to say anything? I'll put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And councillors, can I ask for them to move a motion to go for a 10-minute break?
Can we just move? Can I ask that we move on block the contracts now? Is that okay, Madam Mayor?
Well, you can move that if you like.
Yeah, with the discretion, Madam Mayor, could I move 13.11, 13.12, 13.13, 13.14, 13.15 as a block motion with any questions that councillors have to the Director? Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Well, would you like to speak on that, Councillor Tarkos?
I've read all the contracts. I'm very happy with what's outlined in there. Thank you.
And Councillor David?
Likewise, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Did any questions on any councillors? Wait. Well, we'll move the motion to procedurally move it on block first. Okay. So I'll just put it to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. So, wait. Has this been moved on block?
Yes, because I moved all of them.
Okay. Yeah.
To 13.15.
Okay. Wait. Councillor Liu?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I just want quite a brief question on 13.13 contract of urban trees planting. Just can the officer comment listen to the tendering a schedule of rates for the initial term of 5 years commencing to 1st December 2022, please? Just some brief details into the terms listen to the tree planting.
So through the chair, so this contract is essentially to enable council to fulfil its requirements of its tree planting programs. So currently we have a contract with a number of suppliers who not only supply the tree but also plant it and then maintain it for a 2-year period. Predominantly it's our street trees. This contract essentially is replacing that contract that expires at the end of November. Does that answer your question, Councillor Lee?
Yeah, just following up, Madam Mayor, if I may. Just listen to type of trees. Are we have options in that 5 year to various type of trees being assigned for the planting?
Through the chair, so the trees that council determines to plant are up to council, not up to the contractor. So they essentially are just asked to do what is requested by the council officers based on what's selected, the species are selected depending on the particular street and based on the community consultation that we undertake as part of our tree planting program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Tarkis, can you confirm that you want the recommendations from the officers to be moved and report
Yes.
on block?
As on block.
Yeah.
As per council papers and sheet screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
13.11 to 13.15.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. I actually have a question regarding 13.12. So this is the banking services contract. In terms of council's partnerships with banks, like how much consideration has been put into whether the banks that we work with fund and invest fossil fuels?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there's a number of criteria in part of the assessment. I haven't got the detail down to that level as what provides, but there's a number of criteria around ability to deliver council services, how they work across other councils and things like that. And NAB comes out highest after assessing that, but I haven't got the details down to that level.
So is the funding or investment of fossil fuels consideration?
There'll be some environmental sustainability and some of those areas will consideration, but I'm not sure if it's at that level.
Thank you, Mr. Ma. Okay, I would like to ask, is there a move over procedural motion to take a break?
Yeah, let's vote again because we need to confirm the office recommendation.
Okay, let's. Thank you, Councillor, for confirming. Would you like to just move that again and just vote? Yeah.
I'd like to move the officer recommendations 13.11, 13.12, 13.13, 13.14, 13.15 as a block motion.
Yeah.
And I second it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Just take a vote.
All right, all those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. Okay.
Done.
Is there a mover of a procedural motion to take a 10-minute break? Councillor Papalia.
I will move a motion to take a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Liu.
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Cool. I'll put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. Thank you. We'll convene at 8:26 p.m. Thank you. We'll now move on to notices of motions. And there are two...
Madam Mayor, let's to start.
That's right. Okay. Can I please get a mover to reconvene the meeting? Councillor Liu?
Move to convene the meeting at whatever time it is, 8:29 p.m, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Kerr?
I second that.
Councillor Liu, would you like to speak on that?
No, thank you.
And Councillor Kerr? I'll put the motion to vote. All those happy to proceed, please raise your hands. Thank you. Yes, and the meeting reconvenes at 8:29 p.m. And there are two notices of motions for consideration. And please, I remind you that a notice of motion must be moved as printed in the papers, and only if seconded can an amendment be moved. The first one is a notice of motion from Councillor Tarkos on gambling reforms. Councillor Tarkos?
Madam Mayor, I move the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Did you want to say per business papers?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the motion as per business papers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Is there a seconder? Councillor Borg?
I'll second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak on this motion?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. In 2021-22, a total of $128,396,442 was lost to AGM machines in Brimbank, the highest of any Victorian local government area. This equates to $500,000 per day. We are also seeing further increasing from coming through sports betting across Victoria, which is being fuelled by harmful products and marketing campaigns. We've all seen those aggressive campaigns when we're watching sport. I'm really concerned about the impacts of gambling on our community, and I'm calling on the Council to support the Alliance for Gambling Reform's The Alliance call for regulatory reform and stronger harm minimisation initiatives. This aligns with Council's ongoing commitment to reducing harm from all forms of electronic gambling through Gambling Policy 2019. Now, leading up to the state election, Madam Mayor, the Alliance has three key asks. They are: 1, uniform closing hours on poker machines between 2 and 6 a.m. 2, universal pre-commitment. And 3, maximum $1 bets. Madam Mayor, this is just the beginning of a reform package, and as we know, this week is Gambling Harms Awareness Week, and tomorrow Tim Costello is coming down to the Deer Park Hotel, and he is going to launch the Stop Gambling After Dark launch. And I strongly encourage our councillors to attend that. And he has come to the West because this is where the biggest losses are and the greatest harms are being done. Our community is being harmed, and this needs to be treated as a health issue. It's an addiction, and this current state government is not putting up any reforms, which is of real concern to us, because if it is to reduce these harms, they need to reform this industry and reduce the hours of operation. Our council works in the prevention space. We see the harms afterwards, and we see the social cost to our community. Part of the rationale of building the swimming centre was to have a gym that's 24 hours so that people have the option of going somewhere to improve their health and prevent health issues. But when you're living close to gambling, places that are open in one place and that closes and then the other place opens, you have got access to 24/7 gambling. There are not many options available to those communities for recreation, or if people are feeling isolated, they will walk into one of these places. And this is what needs to change. This government, and we call on this government to please look at our community suffering. In conclusion, I remain very concerned about the impact of gambling in Brimbank. It's essential that we take this opportunity to raise our collective advocacy by supporting the Alliance's elections asks. Through this motion, I'll call on the Council to lobby the state and federal government to commit to the Alliance's key advocacy asks. I encourage all councillors to maintain the strong advocacy for regulatory reform of the gambling industry, particularly as our community continues to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. And Councillor Borg, as seconder, would you like to speak on that?
Yeah, just quickly, Madam Mayor, I would like to endorse what Councillor Tarkos said. We are very much familiar with this issue, especially here in Brimbank, and the impact that it is having on our community. Suffice to say that just over a week ago, I met someone that I know. He looked extremely distressed, and he said to me, those poker machines are ruining me. I lost $2,500 yesterday, and I couldn't go to work. Please do something about it. The look on his face said it all. My heart went out for him in so many ways. As Councillor Tarkos, this is also needs to be considered that this is a mental health problem, among other things. So it's important that we call upon the state and government and federal government to introduce gambling reforms which will impact or minimize the impacts of gambling in our municipality, in fact, right across Australia. So I welcome this notice of motion, and I am more than happy to support it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Would any of the councillors like to speak on this notice of motion? I'll put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And another notice of motion from Councillor Tarkos on the health mitigation support for community members, Barrow Landfill in Kelbar. Councillor Tarkos?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rasic?
I second the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak on this notice of motion?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This notice of motion arose post a meeting that was organised by the EPA recently. The community, and this is one of the many notices of motion we have sent to the Minister, the Honorary Marie-Anne Thomas, and also the Minister for Environment and Climate Action, the Honorary Lily D'Ambrosio, and the Chief Executive Officer of the EPA. This community has suffered for 3 years. Since 2019, the toxic fumes coming out of this landfill fire has affected my community not only physically, but psychologically and mentally. People are feeling prisoners in their own home. During the pandemic, I cannot describe to you the impact that these fires had on my community, where they felt they could not even go on a walk because they don't know what they're breathing in. Yes, the EPA says, oh, it's safe. But when you're coughing and you get asthma and you're scared to leave your kids out because they are exposed to it during the day, and then they go to the school in Kialba and exposed to it again and at home. Who can say, they're not credentialed medically to say what the long-term impacts of exposure to those odours are. This motion calls upon those ministers to address the immediate needs of my community, needing support workers, health outreach support workers, mental health and physical health support, counselling, air purifiers, and access to places providing respite from the crippling odour to assist in physical, mental health to combat the long and short-term impacts. We have asked Barrow at several meetings to provide basics of the air purifiers, and they have said no. I have asked them again in the last meeting that our community, they can't even hang their washing outside because of the smoke and the stench, that they have to close all their doors and they have mould inside their homes because there's no circulation. There are people that have had operations, cancer and other operations, where they can't even open a window to get some fresh air. I mean, this is happening right here in our suburbs. And so what we call upon is just these minimal requirements to help our community get through what's going to look like another summer because of the delays, and now with the rains, that delays the removal of the waste even longer. So the biggest fear they're facing is another summer of this, where they're going to be exposed to, because it's right at the bottom, the much more acrid odour, they can't cope. They need help right now. So I implore councillors to support this notice of motion for my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. And Councillor Rashic, would you like to speak on this seconder?
Thank you. I congratulate Councillor Takos on this motion, and just going to say, how many times do we have to cry out loud for help in Kalba? This is part of Brimbank. It's one of our suburbs. I don't know if ministers forgot that. And thank you, Councillor Takos, and I urge everyone to vote for this motion and to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any of the councillors like to speak on this notice of motion? Put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That notice of motion carries. So we'll now move on to urgent business. Ms. Fiona Blair, is there any urgent business?
Madam Mayor, there is no urgent business.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to 2 items of confidential business. Is there a mover of a motion to designate these items as confidential? To close the meeting to the public? Councillor Papalia?
Yes, I move the motion.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Borg?
I'll second this motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Councillor Papalia, would you like to speak on that?
No, thank you.
And Councillor Borg?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
If no councillors want to speak on that, I think we'll just move it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion passes. So, therefore, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's currently viewing the live stream of this meeting. This meeting will now be closed to members of the public. And we will reopen the meeting to the public after these items are considered by council confidentially. And the meeting is now closed to public members at 8:42 p.m. reopened at 9:30 p.m. Council has considered the confidential items 16.1 and 16.2 and resolved that they will remain confidential at this stage. Thank you all for attending and for your interest in tonight's meeting. I declare this meeting closed at 9:31 p.m. I instruct Channel 31 to stop live streaming this meeting. Thank you.